All right, let's get cracking. Good morning, everyone. So thank you very much for joining in on today's webinar, which is something that we've partnered with dotdigital to bring to you today. Dotdigital is one of our major sponsors for the National Retail Awards, as well as someone we've partnered with previously, and have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to marketing and omnichannel customer engagement. So we're very excited to bring this webinar to you today. Joining me, I've got Beatrice Ellison. She's in the dotdigital background there. Beatrice is the Head of Customer Success for the Asia and Pacific, Australia and Asia Pacific region. Beatrice has watched dotdigital grow from her first year back in 2012 when they were spreading from Europe, from UK across Europe and the Americas. And now their presence is growing in Australia and Southeast Asia and further into the Asia Pacific. And her favourite thing about her current role is that the whole business supports the goals and drivers of customer success. And there's a great culture of every team in dotdigital constantly asking what they can do better to help their customers, which makes her job a lot easier. Joining us as well, we've got Alice Barbary from Universal Store, and I'll let you guess which one Alice is. Alice has spent the past 11 and a half years with Universal Store in various roles and became the CEO in 2017. And since that time, Alice has just led Universal from success to success, and you are incredibly people-oriented, which is amazing to see, as a female leader, how you build your people and your team up for success. And we also have Anastasia Lloyd Wallace from Retail Doctor Group. We've worked with Retail Doctor Group for a long time, and Anastasia is the head of consumer insights. With a strong technical background as a scientific analyst, Anastasia has broadened the consumer insights division of Retail Doctor Group and developed a unique and proprietary approach to help retailers understand their customers better than ever. As a qualified project manager, Anastasia has significant experience managing projects of all sizes, up to multi-million-dollar programs throughout the entire project lifecycle. Welcome, everyone.
Hi.
Okay. Morning. Good morning. All right. Well, Beatrice, you have got 5 amazing tips for us for the holiday season. So let's jump into that one and then we'll head on to our panel questions.
Fantastic. Thanks, Beck. Can everyone see my screen okay before I kick off?
Yep.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for having us. What I'm going to be going through are a few top tips. We know the holiday season is such a key time for retailers. And this year, as before, with an even greater dependency on online retail. More important than ever to make sure your online strategy is watertight with room to, I'm going to say it, pivot to new situations as they arrive. With all of these snap lockdowns continuing all around us in Australia, we need to continue to plan for uncertainty and be flexible with our strategies during the upcoming season. So today I'm going to be taking a quick look at some peak dates. Might be different between retailers, but I want to just set the scene. Some preparation, what you can realistically implement to maximize revenue through your peak times. Some general considerations from shipping to discounts, and leaving you all with some 5 key takeaways to consider no matter where you are in your planning. First, though, for anyone not familiar with dotdigital, and further to what Beck has mentioned, we are a global multi-channel automation company providing marketing automation solutions to over 4,000 brands worldwide across multiple sectors and industries. And as you can see at the bottom, we're close partners with Magento or Adobe Commerce, Shopify, BigCommerce, and Microsoft, plus many more. So the way that we work is to help customers enable engagement across all sorts of touch points, helping brands guide their contacts through their customer journey to becoming loyal brand advocates. We do this through a variety of hyper-personalized channels using relevant touch points to deliver the right message to the right person at the right time and on the right channel. From the first few emails and automations to social retargeting, SMS promotions, native product recommendations, and app notifications to help give your customers the best experience possible of your brand. Finally, a quick snapshot of some of the retailers we work with whose work you might see used as examples today. So first up, just to highlight why the holidays are so important a focus for Aussie retailers. To place the season in context, Aussie shoppers spent 55 billion Australian dollars last year. And depending on what you listen, what you read, what you're looking at, it's projected to be 20 or 30% higher this year. So where do we place our efforts? Here are some of the key dates that we've identified leading right up till Valentine's Day next year to show the breadth of what's coming. This isn't even all of the holidays and opportunities, just a snapshot of some key dates. Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Click Frenzy, and coming up with more and more importance as well, Singles Day. Super important holiday in APAC, super important shopping day, kind of like a reverse Valentine's Day, but it's now moving into Australia as well. So one to be on the lookout for. In the industry, a lot of us are pretty consumed with content creation, slick designs, and all the rest. But is there any point spending a lot of time and money on your content, email, social ads if no one's going to see them? So the first thing I'd like to look at today is who we're targeting during the holidays and making sure we're creating some really great and well-targeted segments. With a focus on email, as it's still the most effective and revenue-generating channel of all, over the holiday season, you'll be competing against so many other brands that you do need to make sure you stand out in the inbox and make sure your message is well received. It's a really common misconception that mailbox providers are more lenient on peak days. You do not get a free pass to the inbox just because it's Black Friday. And if anything, the rules are more strict then to reduce the noise for recipients. And if you're sending someone who hasn't been engaging with your emails, you're potentially more likely to hit the junk folder. So make sure that over the holidays, just like any other day of the year, you are continuing to send to your engaged recipients who open and click your messages. So how do we prepare? Here are some things to consider. Control your messaging. Do not just batch and blast. Make sure you're running some really good segments. There's some ideas on the right-hand side there if you want to take a little screenshot. Read the current mood and choose your narrative carefully. Are you mentioning in-store offers to states who are currently in lockdown? Make sure all your messaging is on brand. This includes transactional. Make sure you're telling a really great brand story from start to finish, and test out all of your key automations like your abandoned cart, abandoned browse, and probably most importantly, make sure your post-purchase program is on point to ensure those first-time shoppers return. If you are doing a sale of the century and expecting a lot of traffic to your site, think about throttling Messenger to minimize the noise in the inbox, and look at your RFM, your recency, frequency, and monetary value to help understand your loyal customers. So you could look at, for example, on the right-hand side there, your single purchase, repeat customers, but most importantly, make sure you're targeting them according to their behavior. And so with that in mind, here are a few ideas to get you started. 3 different segments I'm going to present you with. The first, your most active customers. Treat these ones with respect. Give your VIPs and your loyals early access, such as the pre-release for your most valuable customers, particularly if stock or offers are limited. And consider allowing all subscribers to sign up for the pre-release. Maybe even ask them to opt into another channel. Send them an email, ask them to opt into SMS for first and top of the moment access to your deals. It can be a great way to start a conversation on another channel where they can take immediate action on the sales starting. For your engaged customers who you might want to avoid sending too many extra or unwanted emails to, then give the consumer back control. Let them manage how much they receive. For example, this winedirect.com.au example lets people opt down during the busy Christmas offer period. And many retailers, particularly in gifting, are now offering to remove customers from sensitive holidays like Mother's Day and Father's Day, particularly if it's potentially not a happy time of year for the customer. So this ensures that they can get what they want and don't get into the habit of ignoring your emails if they're irrelevant or sensitive or just too much, or even worse, full on unsubscribing, giving them the option to opt down, not opt out. And the final group, for those who haven't shown much interest in your email recently, you might want to try sending them some messages about the sale before it starts to see if they are interested. But Black Friday is not the day to send to all your unengaged contacts. As I mentioned earlier, this can have such a negative impact on your deliverability. So have a separate plan for this data and don't expect too much return from it either. For this last section, I thought I'd share some actual client examples with you all alongside some great tactics. Now, not all of these approaches will work for your brand, so make sure to test with your data to see how well received they are before rolling out en masse. First, Do think beyond offering a discount just because it's a certain day on the calendar. Decide what resonates with your brand. There's 3 great examples here. Spend Less, do an Instagram promotion where you share content for 12 days to win 12 pairs of shoes. Remedy, cut through on a day no one else is on sale, World Kombucha Day at the end of February, to give this super relevant content to their customers. And Universal Store, who we'll hear from soon, with their on-point cyber feeling Cyber Monday offer. But you don't have to go on sale. Consider get with purchase. Jurlique add value to their customers by literally adding products to their orders. On top of their long-standing 3 free sample offer, they give you a little something extra when you hit certain spend limits. And Beer Cartel here are bringing in a new product just for the holidays, a beer advent calendar they start their pre-orders for in July and promote heavily on Facebook. This is such a shareable and taggable product, and it means that they are a step ahead in terms of ordering stock when it comes up to Christmas. They already know what they've got orders in for. And consider other channels. So looking at SMS, remembering that we're competing for inbox space with other brands, SMS is a great tool to get timely messages to your contacts. Things like sale starts now or sale ends in 1 hour. And this example here from Accolade Wine's Seller One, they do these quick 2-hour flash sales, and they advertise them by SMS, knowing that people have always got their phones on them, but might not be checking their promotions tabs. So make sure that you've got, if you do have timed sales, a way to get into the top of the inbox and let people know they're running out of time. Also, think about what you're putting out on social. Be authentic, be real, be fun, be helpful, but think about what you're going to put out there. Are you going to advertise offers or show more user-generated content, run competitions? St. Frock are amazing. If you're not following them on social, you should be. There's loads to learn here, and they've won awards for most engaging content on Facebook. So take a leaf out of their book. And Jurlique even sent an email to promote their live chat. For them, it's a great way to get advice on gifts from their beauty experts if you can't make it in store. Finally, shipping, especially at Christmas. Your customers' gifts need to arrive on time. So set your customers' expectations early, particularly as there's so many unknowns right now, and communicate shipping timelines and last order dates to your customers so that they can plan their gifting. Jurlique here use the countdown to create urgency as the date gets closer. Abby and Joseph, I'm a very visual person. I do like looking at a calendar, even if I'm just honing in on one date. I like seeing where that is to see that day of the week. And they've highlighted at the top as well their shipping and refund policy that they do extended Christmas returns. And Universal Store have got it front and top of their emails that their shipping and returns are free and that they also offer click and collect. So giving you another option if you don't want to rely on delivery partners. And speaking of returns, this stat is huge. More than half of your customers could leave you for a brand that has a free returns policy and shouts about it. So make sure it's on your site and marketing to reassure customers, particularly if there's something they could get wrong, like sizing for a gift. So to wrap up, define what offers you are going to participate in, define what days you're participating in and what that offer is. Plan your channels. This should help define where and when you are going to launch, and decide who to. Are you going to prioritize your social budget on targeting the least or the most engaged contacts? Both have value, but it's about what will have the most impact for your brand. Schedule as much as you can, leaving you room for last minute changes and to help out your customer service teams on phones, chat, and more. I know some of you marketers do get roped into picking and packing around the busy Christmas times. So by having as much scheduled as you can, it leaves you that time. And if you can't schedule, then automate. Check your automations as well. If you're missing any key touch points, you've still got time to set them up. And if you haven't checked them in a year, do it now. Finally, as it is the holiday season, we'd like to help accelerate your marketing efforts by delving a little bit deeper into your marketing automation and producing a mini customer experience report exclusively for your brand. So if you do want to take a little snip of the QR code, you can request your benchmarking report for any online retailers. We're going to benchmark against email experience, omnichannel experience, and user experience. We do in-depth reports every year of top brands, marketing tactics, and are now offering the same to you as well. So if you'd like to take advantage, please do scan the QR code. Otherwise, that's it from me.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Beatrice. And Everyone, you know how to use a QR code by now. So hopefully you scan that one. Maybe we'll flash that one up again at the end as well. Thank you, Beatrice. There are so many great tips there. Let's get started on the panel questions, and then I'm sure our audience is also going to want to ask all of you a lot. So firstly, when do you recommend retailers start planning for the holidays? And what is the first thing you recommend retailers do? And we'll start with Alice.
Great question. I think in order to know when each different kind of business and different brand needs to plan, you have to have your outcomes in mind first. And my strategy for doing that is always thinking by January 31st, what do I want to have achieved? And then I think, okay, for that to have happened, what had to happen the week before that? And then for that to have happened, what is true the week before that? And that's when you start to, I guess, understand, well, where am I now? And am I behind already? Or do I need to accelerate my planning? And I think about things like not just top line sales and gross margin. Clearly, my closing stock. Big mistake that retailers make when they're planning for Christmas is they forget about February and March. And stores can look, online stores and bricks and mortar stores can start to look pretty dismal while they're waiting for the next season to kick up. Your net promoter score, what do you want that to look like at the end? What do you want your customer database numbers to be? And a team survey at the end. How well did we care for our own people through this process? I think helps us to make some good decisions. So I think that, each business will find out when it needs to start. For me, I have to start in August. I mean, here we are in August and we are already Christmas focused. But this, you used the word, Beatrice, pivot, that everyone's stuck on using this year and hating, but it's so appropriate, that word, because the risk mitigation and the risk appetite this year has to be factored into all of those things, even more than it did last year. And I think last year we thought that was going to be the toughest Christmas we were going to face. With the Delta strain of COVID, it's proving to be even more important. So supplier relationships, how seasonal is your product? How can you reflect on not making that product too seasonal? All of those get factored into that timeline. So September at the latest for me.
Mm. And Anastasia, you'd have lots of data surrounding this with all of the retailers you work with. What are your insights?
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the things that we always say when starting planning, I agree with Alice that if we haven't started by August, it's getting to be a bit too late. And first and foremost, who is your customer? Who are you targeting this year? And have they changed in the last 6 to 12 months? I mean, we're seeing consumer behaviour change every few months. So I think start that planning process with identifying, has my customer changed since the last festive season? What do they want from me? How do they want to interact? What channels are they on? And then that kind of helps you plan where do you need to be and what is your offer this year. And I think one of the key things that a lot of retailers need to remember is, what is my point of difference this year? How am I going to be different to everybody else? Because that, again, then helps you plan out your whole festive strategy. How are you going to differentiate from the crowd? So we're not just fighting on discounts.
Yeah, it's definitely not just a discount-based fight. Beatrice, what do you advise that your clients do when it comes to starting planning for the holidays?
I think with my customer success hat on, put yourselves into the shoes of your own customers. Who are they buying for? Are they buying for themselves and they're going to be able potentially to see those friends and family and hand over gifts? Or are you shipping directly to the recipient? Do you need to offer gift wrapping this year as an additional service, or are you going to include it for free and make it part of that shipping cost? But have a think about what your customers will want from you. Do you need to, as Anastasia says, do we need to just do flat out discounts, or are there particular ranges, to Alice's point, that maybe we do want to see moving through the stores a little bit faster? Can we apply discounts to ranges? Is it a get with purchase? So define your key events and offerings, I think, is step one. And the best marker for when you should do that is when Christmas in July hits. that's when you should start thinking about Christmas. I'm so thrilled that Australia does Christmas in July because it gets us all thinking, what about Christmas?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next question. I'll just ask you this one, Alice, since you're an actual retailer here. Which holiday resonates most with Universal Store and why?
Christmas is critical. If you don't have a good Christmas, you have a tough year. So Christmas is important, but I'm also in the youth fashion space. So it's really occasions for people to be able to get together that resonate with my customer. So whilst Christmas is important, not all of my consumers celebrate Christmas. And we've found that in different markets, Eid or Lunar New Year are bigger events in those particular locations. And so making sure that we cater for all of our different customer bases, key occasions for gifting or dressing up. But yeah, Christmas is still really, really important. And now that we have Black Friday and Cyber Monday sort of surrounding that Christmas period, that's really changed the landscape. So again, we have to just keep remaining adaptable and focused on the customer.
I think that's a really great message. We have repeatedly said, particularly surrounding Chinese New Year and Eid, that you need to consider all of your customers and not just the generic holidays. So I think that's amazing. So Anastasia, which shopping days do you see gaining prominence in Australia at the moment?
In our research from the last few years, we really have seen the rise of Black Friday. And some research we conducted last year, there was around 1 in 4 customers saying that they're actually going to shop less during the Boxing Day sales because they're going to do it all during Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So I think, if anything, if retailers have only got the ability to focus on one particular area, I think we're seeing the growth of Black Friday and the prominence of customers' minds. But then not forgetting the quick frenzy and Singles Days that are popping up. So there's so much choice now. And I think what Alice said is looking at who is your customer and what do they celebrate means that prominence for a retailer is going to be different for everyone, all depending on who that end consumer is.
Yeah, Beatrice, what insights do you have on this one?
I work with clients across APAC. So Singles Day has always been on the radar. It's a huge, huge shopping day in Southeast Asia. But now, even pure Aussie retailers are starting to pick up on Singles Day. There's a huge market out there that love those sales. It's on the 11th of the 11th. It's super easy to remember because they're all single ones. It's kind of how it got started. But this one is really starting to grow. It's absolutely huge. Have a look at your demographic as well and see whether that's going to be something, as Anastasia says, that resonates with them. I'm seeing more and more Singles Day deals pop up. And also marketplace payment events are picking up too, like Afterpay Day, Amazon Prime Day. It's kind of any excuse. And consumers love it. It's not just retailers using it as an excuse to talk to their customers. Customers are starting to expect you to be involved in some of these other events as well. So do try and keep across it. And if you've missed it this year, just make sure it's in your calendar for next year, particularly if your competitors are doing it as well. There's so many to keep track of. And there's some great resources out there that can highlight them, but keep tracking throughout the year. And a missed opportunity this year is just something you've got to start planning for next year.
Yeah, that's really great insights. Let's move on to, we've had a very turbulent last 18 months. I think you could say it's a bit of an understatement. How has the shopping season, the holiday shopping season in particular, evolved over the last year and a half since the pandemic hit? Alice, can you take the lead on this one?
Yeah, that's a great question. And thinking about, it's not so much that the shopping season for us has changed, it's what people are buying and making sure that you're close enough to your customer to know what they're going to want and how you market to them. For instance, last year, going into Christmas, we had a whole campaign that we scrapped at the 11th hour and regenerated a whole new campaign because we recognized that the friends hanging out and giving people gifts and seeing family wasn't going to be the reality for a lot of our consumers, and it would be potentially triggering for a lot of people. So we switched it to what makes you proud, and how are you proud of yourself for how you've managed the last 12 months at that stage, and it was a really successful campaign. So I think it's just, again, staying as close to your consumer, and if depending on what kind of products different people sell, whether you are manufacturing vertically, or like us, where you're a 50-50 supplier and you supplier products and your own generated products, but trying to keep your open to buy as open as possible to make as much many changes and decisions close to market, unless you're pure play online, is that shops won't be open at the most critical time of year. And that's that risk mitigation that I referred to. So, and if that's the case, then what are people going to want that's different to what I'm planning?
Yeah, fantastic.
So I wish I had a better answer for myself, much less anyone else. But it is about nimbleness, I think.
It is. And I can't even imagine having to scrap the campaign at the very last minute, but it sounds like it was so effective for you. And that's a really great story on how it's changed. Beatrice, why don't you have a go?
I think what we've seen is that the retailers who have succeeded are the ones who have a really robust digital strategy, where they do have either already an online store, or they're starting to pick things up and make sure that their online kind of matches that in-store experience as well. So we have had a lot more kind of involvement with our own customers on what they're planning and what other people are doing that might work for them that they can test. I think customers' expectations have changed as well. It really, to stand out in the inbox, you do need to make sure you are using all of that personalization. Everyone on this call, I'm sure, has got heaps of data. We're no longer expecting the types of blanket messages. Batch and blast is gone. I've been saying this for 9 years, but batch and blast is gone more and more, and making sure that you are personalized is going to help you move to the top of the inbox. And checking your other channels. We've been using words like omnichannel, multi-channel for so long, and it means different things to different people. But to me, it just means bringing everything in line. Make sure that all of your channels, you're giving the same message, maybe in a different tone of voice, but it's the same consistent message across the board for your customers as well. And there's a few things you can think about with your online experience that you can pick up from your in-store experience if you do have both. Things like those items that you pick up at till point. Can you put them on checkout? If you're a shoe retailer, could you add a pair of socks for, a discounted price like you do? You walk through the store and there's all the socks laid out at the front, or whatever those little attractive pieces are at till point. And gift cards as well used to be seen as this really lazy option. Oh, I got a gift card, but not anymore, because it means that person can go out. We're no longer, handing over, if the size isn't right, let me sort out the return. We're just putting, even with our friends and family, the control back in their hands. And I think that's so important. Gift cards are not a bad option anymore. So don't be afraid to be promoting gift cards, particularly in the lead up to Christmas, where delivery can be super disruptive. Make sure that that's a really clear option that you're putting out to your customers as well.
Absolutely. I love gift cards. I think gift cards are just such a good present. So I will 100% agree with you on that point. Anastasia, you will have a lot of data surrounding what has changed in the retail landscape over the past 18 months, in particular around holidays.
Definitely. And what we've seen in particular, building on what Beatrice was saying, is that customers really expect a very much blended omnichannel experience. They see the brand, they don't see the different touch points. So they expect to have that experience in store and online to be very seamless. So I think customers have become even more demanding of that. And with all of our research, we've even seen the separation between experiential retail and transactional retail grow. So if customers are coming into the physical store, they want a reason to leave the house. They're really looking for much more experiential and enjoyment out of the pure physical experience. So it's really looking for retailers that can create that additional experience to make it worthwhile leaving the house. And I think even more so in the festive period. Also, some of the data we've been seeing is there's a lot more purchase for yourself. in the festive period, because as we were saying, they might not have the big gatherings and the family sessions. The customers are now actually looking a lot more for, I'm going to buy myself a Christmas present. I'm going to treat myself because it's been a difficult year, a difficult period. I've been using it as the phrase shoptimism. It's, small purchases to make yourself feel better. And I think we'll see that quite a bit through the consumer lens in the run-up to the festive period, especially as we're coming out of a lockdown. It's not just about making other people feel great, it's about making yourself feel great as well. And we've seen that a lot in our customer research.
Great. So I'll tell my husband my purchase last night was shoptimism. Perfect. Sorted. No, that is completely true, Anastasia, particularly around experiential retail. We have absolutely seen that when lockdown periods do end, people will return to shopping centres and malls and just go out and shop and actually see and feel things. So that's something that needs to be prioritised for retailers. And I suppose, Alice, that's a good segue. I mean, how do you marry your offline and your online promotions, particularly if you have to pivot your campaign at the last minute? How does that work?
A lot of cooperation. And I think if you've got a business that's siloed, those things are a lot harder to do. I always say competition is outside the house, not inside the house. So you need to have a fluid team that cooperates and works together to get the best outcome for the whole of business. And that even goes back to setting KPIs that are more corporate based as opposed to individual team based, so that people do have that fluid sharing. But you have to, I think, really be brand aware that what you're offering online has to mirror what you're offering in stores and vice versa. There will be times, of course, when you will have a cyber event that might not take place in stores, because stores also have VIP events in centres, although we haven't had one of those for a while because it's not seen as the right thing to do, and that's fair enough. So, but there has to be those occasions, but we try and keep them pretty rare. Occasionally we'll get an opportunity to purchase or get a small smattering of a really cool item that's not reasonable to put in an all-store purchase that will just be highlighted online. But we haven't always mirrored digital events in store, and we've tried it and we've done a lot of testing, and sometimes we find that we're just giving margin away because it drove consumers online, but it didn't drive them into bricks and mortar stores. So people that were going into stores were coming anyway, and then you say to them, oh, you get 20% off, and they're like, oh, cool, I was going to buy this anyway. It wasn't a driver for purchase. So we have kept some of those things to just online, but we've also tried to keep things like Black Friday as a day and not a month. And I don't think that it bodes well for the industry that we train our consumer to only purchase when it's on markdown. And I like the fact that we're seeing other retailers add, service is as a value add, gift with purchase is a value add, but not everything has to take margin away. And I think that's really important for retail.
Yeah, it's we are definitely seeing a trend where our retailers are stopping the discounting for discount's sake, which is good. But we are also noticing there is that creep where, it's Black Friday all the way through to the weeks before Christmas is now just all sales. So it can be a really interesting development. And Anastasia, I'll ask you, what are some of the strategies you've seen with your customer base, where your clients have done a good job blurring the line between online and offline promotions and how they manage that sort of situation?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we've seen is just the importance of the digital systems with our clients. So we're really looking at how do they all interact with each other to really just make it one seamless journey for the customers. And I think, as Alice was saying, whether it's in store or online, it's just how do we get consistency from the customer's perspective. So there's been some great examples, in particular ones where our clients are using endless aisles to really make sure the customers are physically in the store and they can get the products that they want in time. Not so much a promotion, just more sort of retail 101. Is that product available where the customer is when the customer wants it? More so than any of the bigger promotions we're seeing. And it seems very simple, but it's actually quite detailed for retailers to make sure customers can really have one view, in particular around the festive period, to be able to purchase these products when they want them. So I think what we would say for retailers is making sure, have you got the right stock at the right place at the right time?
Thanks, Anastasia. And Beatrice, do you have anything to add?
I think the overall messaging of where possible, keep it consistent, 100%. For me, this question got me really thinking about data, which is probably not very surprising. But think about what your customer is giving in store if you are asking for data, and think about how you use that online and vice versa. Where possible, if you've got a loyalty program that can cross into your POS, to give those discounts both at till and online, so that they're using their points both in store and online. So if they've got the option to go in store, they can use it. If they have to shop online or prefer to shop online, they've still got that option. They've still got those points. They're still seeing that brand consistency in your offering, so that there isn't that disconnect for them between the brands. They expect to be treated the same. They expect to get that same service. I also am a big fan of using live chat where you can, to give that same in-store service, but on an online scenario. I gave the example of Jolique. They've got beauty experts. You walk up to a Jolique counter, you expect to say, oh, my skin is a bit like this, and I use this, and what do you recommend, and how long until I see results? And that was really missing when the stores got shut. So they very, very quickly got their chat set up so they could use those store beauty experts online to give that same advice. So they're not slowing down any purchase. They're not getting customers buying the wrong products because they didn't get the right advice. The chat's right there. And you can speak to someone about fit as well for your retailers who are kind of more fashion focused. You can use it for how long is my shipping going to take? All of those customer service queries that you might answer through email, so much faster through chat. And it's so much faster to convert people if they can get the answer right then and there. So if you are finding yourselves having to shut down stores, think about how you could repurpose those staff and their expertise to still give that same advice, but online. It's the thing that I think a lot of customers for a lot of brands do miss, is that interaction with the store staff. So give them that online. Make sure you've got someone who can still answer that and still give that nice, warm feeling to anyone who's shopping online. I think last year we saw a lot of people shopping online for the first time. There are some stats out there that are huge, the number of people who shopped online for the first time. And with Spend Less Shoes as an example, they were seeing lots of queries come in on just how to use a website, how to transact online. And so they were having to kind of help people through step by step, the same that you would at till point if they had questions on how to use a new card reader or a new device or something. So do make sure that you've got, where possible, immediate answers, that same in-store service that you're used to providing and having that online, but be consistent. Give your customers that consistent brand experience. Even if you are doing separate things online and offline, there's still room for consistency.
I think that's amazing point there. Anastasia, sorry, I cut you off.
No, sorry, I was just going to say, I know, Beatrice, there were some great examples last year, like you said, of bridging that virtual consultations, whether it was stores giving style guides to help you purchase the presents, and being able to do that through a virtual consultation. I know Mecca was a great example of virtual beauty consultations, but stores saw some, I think it was Chic doing one-on-one personal stylists, and other stores, giving examples of how you could have a personal shopper to get your Christmas presents through the virtual mediums. I think, as you said, that was so clever.
I mean, virtual bra fittings. Come on, that's something you would never, ever think you could do online. And yet we had stores doing it last year. It's amazing. Okay, so what we know, the holidays are actually a really good time for retailers to have an opportunity to meet new customers for the first time since they're shopping for other people. What are some of the tactics that you engage to keep these potential first-time holiday shoppers and make them loyal shoppers who come back for more? And I'm going to, Alice, send that one to you.
All right. I'm going to shun the word tactics because they should actually be just part of what we do anyway. And they should be an extension of the culture of your business, because Christmas is an absolute marketing bonanza. You will meet people that you will not meet any other time of the year. either people searching for gifts for other people, or we just give ourselves permission to browse, don't we, and to explore and to, spend time, looking in other stores that we wouldn't, whether they be digital experiences or physical experiences. We allow ourselves that little bit of extra time to do it. And the way that you get treated in that moment is a real moment of truth. So your service promise has to be on point. We always say that if grandma and grandpa come into Universal Store and we say, show us a picture on the phone and spend time helping them choose something amazing, or our help team do it digitally. And if grandma brings that present home and she's the coolest grandma, then you're going to have her for the 18th, the 21st, the graduation, the other special occasions, every birthday that comes along, because you've treated her really well. And but that should be part of our everyday anyway. It's just that you get the opportunity at Christmas. You have to have great product for exchanges. So again, keeping your product as fresh as possible through the process, so that if something doesn't fit and everything's sold out, you end up giving a refund. Whereas if you try and inject something fresh and exciting, then you're more likely to get that exchange. And again, I just keep going on about not being too tired in January and February. It's critical. Or that I make the point that we have to make shopping easy for people. There are enough barriers out there, and if you don't want to get stuck in I have to mark down because everybody's marking down, then how are you differentiating your offer? Because if you have exactly the same product or nearly the same product as someone else, they're leading you. And if you want to be a market leader, differentiation is absolutely key. And I'm someone who does carry brands that you can see other places. So I have to look for lots of ways to differentiate. And your service promise, your exchanges, your on-time delivery processes, your ability to say you're sorry when you get it wrong and make it up to people. The number of times I've so just put it in a cab and get it over there. Like, I know we're going to lose all the profit on that product, but this is Christmas, and if they don't have it by December 24th, then it's not okay. So and people don't forget when you've gone above and beyond because you've recognized it's important to them. So I love this time of year. I get really excited about it.
I could tell. That's amazing. I particularly love, such great customer service asking, do you have a photo of your grandson? Because grandparents love to talk about that and engage. So it's wonderful. Anastasia, you look like you also have some great tips to keep this loyalty going. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I think one of the things that Alice had really struck a chord is it is all around that staff interaction at the point of sale. And I think retailers have got a great chance now, while in the downtime, to really get their staff back up to that customer service and exceptional levels of customer service. Because in particular in the physical store, that's the one thing people are going to remember and bring them back. In all of the customer research that we're doing at the moment, we're seeing that having that is making such a difference, because people haven't been out. They're looking for that connection at the point of sale, and that really will get them coming back to the store time and time again. So retailers now are using that time to train their staff. Are they the best at customer service that they could possibly be? And if not, now's a great time to get them to those levels in preparation for the festive period. I think one of the things that we've noticed is that loyalty is very different for different consumer segments. We talk a lot about consumer personalities and what emotions actually drive them to connect with the brand. And you'll find that some customers are really looking for that reassurance. At the festive period, it is that ability to trust the retailer. I can bring these products back, I can get a free refund, or I can get free returns. And it's having this trust and reassurance is what's going to build that loyalty. Where other customers are really just looking for an awesome experience and a retailer that's just going to excite them. So I think understanding what does your customer want from you will help you really build that longer term loyalty.
And Beatrice, Alice.
Sorry, Beatrice, I'll be very brief. I think though this year in particular, we've got to be very careful. Our team members are still in lockdown, and a huge portion of our country. Yeah, you can spend some time training them right now, but gee, it's tough. And I think that there will be more fear this year. I think that people are worried about shutdowns. They'll be worried about who's vaccinated, who's not vaccinated. There's lots of things happening in the media, with the government making all kinds of noises, but no policy being attached to it yet. So we've got to really push the NRA to help us, get through that minefield, which you guys are so brilliant at doing. And I know that we'll be able to lean into you for that. But I do think that it will be a very special year, and I encourage everyone to get as close to their people. And I know that so many retailers do this so beautifully, get so close to their teams and support them. And I think that we'll see the best of humanity out of this crisis if we, as businesses, lead the way with that. So sorry, just got a bit.
No, that's really important. And I know that your business and so many other businesses are really prioritizing the mental health of your employees. And it's a really difficult and uncertain time. So we are doing everything we can to help, but we always appreciate any feedback that we can get. All right, let's do lightning round and then we can go to the audience questions. So if there is one takeaway or piece of advice you would offer someone who's getting ready for the upcoming holiday season, what would it be? All right, Alice, quick answer.
You pay for backs, but you win hearts and minds. So whether they're your help team, your customer service experience team, your in-store team, help them understand that Christmas isn't easy for everyone, and that some of the responses and I suppose interactions they will have may be challenging, difficult, stressed about it, and keeping people topped up is going to help whatever strategies we put in place to be successful. So I think it's get close to your people so that they can get close to your customer in whatever channel that customer wants to work with us.
Lovely. And Beatrice?
Plan beyond the discounts, I think, would be my key takeaway. It's very easy to get kind of bogged down in what the deal is, actually making sure that, you're promoting it, but stick to your brand. Make sure that you are keeping your customers front of mind. The new customers, how are we going to give them the best introduction to the brand as possible? How are we going to make our existing customers feel special and that we've not ignored them just for a quick win on a new customer? Make sure you've got your customer experience front of mind, no matter what days you are or aren't participating in, and be clear and transparent and authentic and tell them what's coming up and what they can expect from you.
Thanks, Beatrice. And Anastasia, your key takeaway?
Yeah, that would be, I think, similar. Know your customer in real detail before you even start planning your Christmas and festive period. Understand what they want and also understand your point of difference. How are you different to them? And then just plan everything. Don't leave anything to chance. Make sure everything is planned out and every eventuality is planned out so that you're not scrambling around at the last minute.
I think those are all phenomenal points. So thank you for that. All right, so now we are going to the audience for questions. So everyone, if you just want to use the little Q&A button down the bottom and type your questions in. And I've already got a couple over here. So Melissa has asked, are there any other alternative strategies to live chat that will help make shopping easy online? Who wants to take that one?
It's a big question. There is so much that you can do to make your site more streamlined. If you haven't for a while, go back and just try and use your site, or get someone else, get your partner, your mum, your sister, your brother, anyone, get someone else to try and use your site and watch them. Do a little bit of just customer experience and see, is it easy? Can they find what they want? Is your site loading in time? Are they finding it easy to move through the checkout, or are there blockers? Like, start from scratch, speak to your digital agency as well on all of those little projects that you've had in the pipeline. See if there's ways you can get those immediate blockers moved a little bit faster for the holidays. But put your customer first. And if you haven't just tried to use your own site for a while, see what is taking you a little bit longer than you think it should, and start fixing those things up first. One
of the things we like to do as well is give discount vouchers to even our store teams and go, here you go, here's a little bit of an extra discount on top of your employee discount. Go and use the site and tell us how it works. So you can get lots of different types of people feedback, and it's a bit of fun. And they love telling you where you could be better.
And have a look, if you haven't for a while, have a look at accessibility. It's something that is getting refreshed all the time. The font color mixes, font sizes, click areas. Make sure that you are an accessible website as well is one of the things that you might do when your site is first built, but maybe haven't looked at in a while. Make sure that there's not any kind of blockers to anyone who needs a little bit of extra help on your store.
Yeah, absolutely. Anastasia, do you have any thoughts?
I think as well, it's we're talking about the live chat, understanding what other options are potentially available to talk to the customers. Is it through social media? Can you use artificial intelligence to maybe even help the customer on that journey? Because I think one of the barriers of live chat is people understanding what's needed on the back end. But I think customers are so used to using it and talking to on a variety of platforms now. Is there a potential other option for you? Is that Facebook Messenger? Is it Instagram? Whatever, to talk to them.
And use your customer service team and see what common questions they get. If they're always getting questions on fit, make sure you've got a fit guide. If they're always getting questions, if you sell anything consumable and you need them, but I'm thinking about wine, what would it go with? What would it pair with? Like, what are the questions that your customer service team gets that you can answer in advance so that they're not scrounging around looking for answers here, there? Put it clear on your product page, and use your teams and those common questions so that you're not missing a trick.
I think that's all amazing advice. I have a question from Ruby who came through in the chat. Ruby asked, are you serious about SMS marketing? I thought most people found that annoying. How can you do it in a way that doesn't aggravate the customer?
So SMS actually works really well in Australia. We are seeing people signing up to SMS, and that's the most important thing. If you don't want SMS marketing, you're not going to give consent to receive SMS marketing. And none of you should be looking across your people who have given their delivery mobile number, for example. You should not market to that list. Make sure that consent is clear and given and active. Don't automatically opt them into anything. Email, SMS, no channel should be an automatic opt-in. Everything should be consent given. And the messages that are annoying are the ones you don't want. So make sure it's personalized. Make sure you give them options. Do they want to hear about the flash sales if you do them 5 times a week? Or do they only want to hear about certain ranges or products? And make it really easy for them to opt out if they don't want it, if they change their minds. But it's only annoying if you don't want it. Spam is in the eye of the beholder, right? So make sure they're opted in, make sure your content is relevant, and then you shouldn't be getting pushback.
Yeah, I think that's really great advice. And we've got someone else in the comments saying SMS is amazing, best cut through. So there you go. We've got an anonymous question here. Should your point of differences be consistent across bricks and mortar stores and digital?
I think that should your point of differences be consistent? That confuses me slightly. I think that there are certain things that you can offer online to a broader customer base. And let's face it, in your 100, 200 square meter store, there's only so much product you can put in to make it look good. And you can offer a broader selection online. So sometimes I think if it's product based, you might be able to offer additional colorways, online that you can't fit into a store. If it's markdowns, again, I try to do those very, very rarely. So I'd like my customer to feel treated respectfully and fairly across all channels. Occasionally, we will participate in something, but it's pretty rare. But beyond that, I think you need to keep as much consistency as possible, because it's your brand that you're protecting. And how does your brand operate? How is your brand viewed? you want to feel that you understand the brand that you're relating with or purchasing from, and that you've got a very narrow amount of scope, I think, to be inconsistent.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think your point of difference is all about who you are as a brand, and why should customers come to you, and whether that's they're coming to you online in the physical store. The customer just sees the brand. They don't see the touch points. So to them, that point of difference needs to really be consistent across every single touch point, because that's who the customer's interacting with.
Yeah.
Make sure you're not putting your store staff in a difficult position as well. If there's something that you are offering online, make sure it's communicated really clearly. Hey, you might get customers coming in store and asking about this, and make sure that they're in a position to help. You're not saying to those customers, hey, yeah, go in store and ask about this, and walking in and then your store staff are going, well, what? No, we don't do that. That's online only. That's not a great customer experience. So make sure you're not putting anyone in a difficult position if you do want to position something differently offline to online and vice versa.
It's actually a really great point as well. It's something I've seen a lot with fast food, where they do food promotions, but then the people in store don't know anything about it. That just really turns you off as a customer. So our next question we've got is from Alex. In terms of physical retail spaces, what are your thoughts on decorations? What advice would you give in terms of when and what retailers should do to get the best outcomes?
You mean starting the carols in September?
I'm camp no carols, so yeah, that's just me.
Try working in a store 5 days a week. You'd be camp no carols too. Look, it is a challenge, isn't it? Because you just see people bringing Christmas earlier and earlier and earlier, and the grocery stores start it, don't they? I think it was Boxing Day they brought out hot cross buns for Easter. I think, again, it depends on your brand. If you're a brand that it makes sense to have loads of decorations, then be on brand. If it's not really your brand's jam, then don't. We tend to have posters or our marketing campaign around Christmas. We do team T-shirts to help customers identify who's who in the zoo, because they don't always see the lanyards as well. And that helps the team members, especially when you're bringing on a lot of additional Christmas casuals. They don't feel they have to spend a lot of money to get a job there. So anything you can do to help identify who's helping, what the special offers are, I think those are the things that are more important. But again, certain homewares brands, will probably do a really great job with Christmas decorations that they're selling. So I think it's brand specific.
And bear in mind, if you're in a department store, the department store will have so many decorations out there that maybe you don't need to add to the pile of tinsel that gets discarded or hopefully recycled in January. Think about where your location is and whether that makes sense to add to that noise, or whether you want to offer a bit of a refuge from the gold and the red and the green, with what fits with your brand as well, like Alice said.
Completely. I think, and at the end of the day, it's who are you and who are your customers? What physical experience do they want? And we touched on this previously. When we're out of lockdown, customers are wanting a great physical experience in the store. So who are those customers, and what do they want? Do they want a full festive immersion? And is that on brand for you? Then perfect. Go for it. We think about the fifth level Maya in Sydney, where they've got the Christmas Emporium. And that's all about all things Christmas, and that's purely an experiential take for all customers, and that's perfectly on brand and what customers are looking for. So I think it does vary depending on who you are and who's your customer.
And then I'll chip in here as well, just from the safety point of view. We have also got to consider social distancing, hand sanitizer, and all of those things. So it's really important for people to consider with their displays. Can you have walkways? Can you maintain social distancing? It's just something, unfortunately, that we need to have front of mind nowadays. So, you go into certain cookware stores and you can barely move for the displays. It's really time to rethink how you do that sort of model.
And if we're in masks this year, again, that makes that interaction a challenge. You can't see a smile. You can't hear people as well. So the volume of your music and all of those things starts to impact the experience. So and I expect we will be in masks this Christmas. So perhaps I do masks instead of t-shirts this year. I don't know, with Smile. I think we just have to be open to what's going to be, what it's going to be, and talk to our team members and ensure that we're providing them with what they need to deliver that holiday feeling, whatever that is for your brand.
Absolutely. And I think we all need to practice really having expressive eyes over the masks. Smizing, I think it's called. All right, well, that's all the time that we have today. Thank you all so very much for coming and joining me and speaking about marketing for the holiday period. I have learned a lot. I hope all of our attendees have learned a lot. And if you have any questions at all after this, I know there's one question we weren't able to get to, but please email them through marketing@nra.net.au, and we're more than happy to help. So thank you, Alice, CEO of Universal Store. Thank you, Beatrice, Head of Customer Success at dotdigital, and thank you, Anastasia, Head of Consumer Insights at Retail Doctor Group. You're all fabulous.
Thanks, Beck.
Thanks, Beck.
Thanks to the NRA as well. Cheers.
Thanks. Have a lovely day, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.